Hey soldiers, taxes are going up. And if you're not careful, the United States will bleed you dry. Now, they already said they're going to hire 87,000 new IRS personnel to help them do it. Listen, in the past week alone, we spent $3 billion on Ukraine military aid. We've spent $750 billion on the Inflation Reduction Act. And we also have spent $300 to $500 billion on student debt relief. Okay. And I'm talking about August 26, 2022. So if you look back at this, okay, now take a look at the national debt and how quickly it's rising. Now, if you view this video years from now, then you're going to be able to access this national debt site. And what I'm showing you now is going to be the good old days. So how do you legally prevent yourself from having to foot this whole bill? And by this whole bill, I mean right now, $244,000. Okay, that's your share as a taxpayer of the national debt. So how do you sidestep that and do it legally? We want to pay the taxes that we owe, but we also want to take full advantage of any opportunity the federal government gives us to legally reduce our tax debt. So let's talk about one of those today. And this particular one is one of the few areas that a W-2 employee can also get in on. Okay, W-2 employees don't have a lot of latitude in terms of reducing their tax debt, but the Roth IRA definitely is one that you can take advantage of under many, many circumstances. Now, we did a video way back when on Peter Thiel and how he had used the Roth IRA and the power within this vehicle to generate I think it was $1 billion. Don't quote me on that. I'll link to the video later in this video. But let's get right into it. We're going to talk about two quick things: how to open the IRA. We'll do that last. But let's get into the benefits of the Roth IRA, not the traditional, the Roth. All right, you can legally keep the U.S. government out of your pocket with a Roth IRA. And why? Because you get tax-free growth within the Roth IRA. So your money is growing unencumbered by taxation, and then you get tax-free withdrawals as well. Now, why is that possible? Because the money you put into a Roth IRA, you've already paid taxes on. Now, everything I'm talking about, you still need to do your due diligence on to figure out if this is right for you. And you might want to enlist the aid of your CPA or your tax planner to help you do that. I'm giving you some broad strokes as to why the Roth IRA has merit. Now, there's a lot of value in paying the taxes now, okay, and letting your money grow tax-free so that you can enjoy tax-free growth and withdrawals later on down the road. The reason for that is taxes are going to be higher in the future than they are now. Again, take a look at our national debt. Take a look at how rapidly this number, the 30.7 trillion, take a look at how rapidly that is rising. Okay. And again, I'm talking to you on August 26th of 2022. When you look at this, I guarantee if you look at this 5 minutes later, it's going to be more. So that's the beauty of this. You get to take advantage of being taxed now when the tax rate is bound to be lower than it would be when you start withdrawing the money for your needs. Another key feature that the Roth IRA has is that it enables you to build legacy wealth or generational wealth. Now, how does it do that? Well, it allows you to pass any money into the account, in the account, any money in the account. It allows you to pass that on tax-free to your heirs. Now, depending on the circumstances, heirs could still grow the account tax-free for many years and maybe even decades. But because the money is in a Roth IRA, any distributions will ultimately be tax-free to recipients under most circumstances. Again, check with your CPA to get the details about your particular situation, because I'm talking to a large demographic here. We got folks of several different, age brackets, income brackets. So you've got to seek out information that's specific to your case. Here's one. Now, with your 401k or your traditional IRA or your 403b, those accounts, if you withdraw from those accounts, outside of certain conditions, then you're going to be responsible not only for the taxes at your current rate, but a penalty as well. Not with the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA allows you to withdraw contributions tax and penalty free at any time. Why am I emphasizing the word contributions? Well, because only the money you've added qualifies as a contribution. If you take out earnings or the monies that have been produced by whatever investment, the return, if you take out that before you're able to make a qualified withdrawal, you will owe taxes on that money. So keep in mind, you can withdraw contributions tax and penalty free. Now, I always get the question of, hey, I'm older, what can I do? You know, I've worked for a living for 20 years or so. What's out there for me? Well, I'd like to let you know that the Roth IRA does not have an age limit. Your age does not prohibit you from contributing to the Roth as long as you've earned income from working, not just investing, but working. You can contribute to the account and take advantage at any age. Your contribution can be no more than $6,000 in 2022. Now, it does have limits. You can't just pile tens of thousands of dollars into this thing. There are limits, and depending on when you watch this, you've got to check what the limits are. If you're watching this video a year after I made it, of course, you're going to need to check and see what those limits are. That's why I'm not going to give you any more of those. I'll give you one more, but again, with the caveat that it's bound to change annually. Now, along with that, people over 50, whatever the limit is, now this has been the case for some time now. I'm not sure if it will continue, but people over 50 have been allowed to contribute an additional $1,000 on top of whatever the limit is for a particular year. Now, this last one I'm going to talk about is part and parcel of why I prefer the Roth over the traditional. And we hit on this a little earlier. It doesn't have what are known as required minimum distributions. On the traditional IRA or 401k plans like that, the government says, hey, look, we gave you a tax break on your contributions. Now we want to collect on our money. So there's an age at which you will have to start taking withdrawals from the 401k and the IRA. The government demands it. And if you don't do it, there's a tax penalty associated with your inaction, okay? Because the government's going to get their money one way or the other. The Roth IRA does not have that requirement for a required minimum distribution. The traditional IRA, again, it does have that. Now, with this era that we're moving into of high taxation, the traditional IRA, I'm not going to castigate it. Of course, it's a tool that's out there. Some people may have use of that tool, especially if they want to reduce their income, their taxable income today. Okay, so that's valuable. But you also need to know about strategies that will allow you to reduce your taxable income in the future when taxes are most likely to be higher. There are other strategies, and we'll go into those in detail as well in future videos. Now, there is a caveat with this. Everything I've talked about is subject to income limits. This is another reason why you're going to need to check with your professionals. You can't make over a certain amount of money and contribute to the Roth IRA. And you need to find out what that dollar amount is, because you may be someone who's a high income earner. And if you are, you need to check that figure. So if you are a single person, you file a tax return as a single person, the income limit for 2022 was $144,000. And if you filed jointly, it was $214,000. So check that. That's essential, because you may not be able to contribute if you're a high income earner. As far as how to open one of these up, it is simple. All you have to do is go to a bank, credit union, or even online brokerages will open up a Roth IRA, will help you open up a Roth IRA. Remember, it is a vehicle. It is not an investment in and of itself. And I want you to also keep in mind that this is one tool to help you mitigate and reduce your future taxation. There are others, as I said, and we will go into depth with those in another video. All right, guys, so that is all for now. Take a look at it. It is essential that you figure out how to have a bucket of income that is not subject to these rising taxes. Take a look at this video right here. It's going to give you some additional information on what's going on in our world with regard to why taxes are increasing and what you can do about it. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.